Did you hear that? Does he know what he's talking about? Europe averages more than that today. Chevrolet is going to have a plug-in hybrid soon that'll be getting 75 to 100 miles per gallon, maybe by 2010 or 2011 model. Let's get real. Well, he won't be remembered in history for climate change because he's neither going to solve it nor is it going to be ignored. We are going to solve it starting January 21st next year. I'm giving the president one day to have a celebratory ball and the real problem solving can start. Fourth, we need to invest in true sustainable technologies. Of course, like the bed nets and the anti-malaria medicines and the high-yield seeds, and making new technologies where they don't exist right now. And where else on the whole planet can you say that better than at MIT, right? So that's a job for you. You know, we're spending right now $30 billion a year for biomedical research in the National Institutes of Health. Good investment. It's been shown over and over again to have extended lives, reduced disease, many times its return in the income we spend. But what are we spending on all of our sustainable energy technologies? 1/10 of that for the stakes of trillions of dollars of an economic future and trillions of dollars and our lives of an environmental future. Our total spending is $3 billion a year. You know, we spend $2 billion a day on the Pentagon. So for a day and a half of Pentagon spending, that's what we're investing in sustainable energy. And why are we investing so much in the Pentagon? For oil, when we could be investing in alternative energy sources. So instead of stationing troops in Iraq for the next 100 years, let's figure out how to make solar power work better, right? Let's figure out how to make automobiles run to 100 or 150 miles a gallon. Let's figure out, as MIT researchers are doing, how to use algae and cellulosic ethanol as biomass-based fuels for the future. Let's figure out how to capture and sequester carbon dioxide so we can use fossil fuels safely, not wrecking the planet. So that's number 4. I recommend that we go to $30 billion a year for research on sustainable technologies like the $30 billion a year that we spend and get great returns on the National Institutes of Health. Number 5, I want to call the leaders of Senegal and Mali and Chad and Niger, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Djibouti, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Phoenix, Arizona, Southern California, Atlanta, Australia, and all the other places trapped in extreme water stress right now for a drylands initiative at the White House to manage the increasing stress of water, one of the greatest challenges on the planet, where you have not heard President Bush's speeches because he hasn't given any. And the problem is that that big swath of the Sahel of Africa, Saudi Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula, into Central Asia. John McCain says that's the transcendent threat of Islamic extremism. He's got it wrong. That is the threat of water stress and hunger and unemployment and extreme poverty. And he's going after symptoms with armies. And we have to go after solutions with engineers. Because it's only at the core. It's only by getting to the core that we're really going to get to the basic answers. Number 6, I want us to end immediately our 51 cent per gallon subsidy for ethanol. This makes no sense. I don't know if you realize, with these soaring world food prices creating riots and hunger around the world, that we're putting nearly 1/3 of our corn production this year, our maize production, into the gas tank rather than onto the dinner table. We got to stop putting our food into the gas tank. It's bad environmental policy, it's bad energy policy, it's bad social policy, it's devastating the hungry world. So we got to stop that kind of behavior. Number 7, we got to understand that on our crowded planet, people need help to make the voluntary choice to reduce their fertility rates, so that the massive increases of population that continue in some of the poorest countries, because there's no family planning, there's no contraception, because girls are too impoverished to stay in school, they're married at age 14, begin having children at that age, that this makes no sense for the poorest of the poor, it makes no sense for us, it makes no sense for the planet. So we need to start again what President Bush stopped at the beginning of the administration, and that's support for the United Nations Population Fund. And our commitment to help everybody in this world with the basic human right, and that is to have access to sexual and reproductive health services. Because it's a shame what we've done. It's no good for them, for the poverty, for the planet, or for our security. A couple more things. Here we come to you. First, we need to open the eyes of our government again. Because actually, Washington cannot see. That's the real problem. There's a kind of worm that lives in the intestine. The intestine's quite dark. So when this pathogen evolved to infect humans, it also evolved to lose its eyesight. So its whole life cycle is clinging to the gut, drawing blood, shedding eggs, and not seeing anything. It's not a terrible description of Washington, D.C. We got to do better. We have to open the eyes of our government again. And for that, I would propose that we have a Department for International Sustainable Development. That we actually go to that level. Because it's important to do. Because our president needs good advice, so that we can be members of a global partnership to solve problems, so that we can combine the expertise on public health, on water, disease control, food production, energy systems, climate change adaptation, and all the other interlinked and complex parts of the problem solving of sustainable development that Seth referred to just a few minutes ago. Our government's unequipped to play the kind